Hey everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply. Today we're going to do video update 84. I'm going to show you what I've gotten done, and it will probably be a surprise to you, but I also wanted to say on this video that we just surpassed 19,000. We have 19,100 subscribers. I know it's a long way from getting any kind of award from YouTube, and not that I'm in it for an award, but I would appreciate it if you could pass me on to somebody and have them subscribe, or if you are watching this video for the first time, subscribe for me. I would appreciate that. We do, however, we just surpassed 11 million views on the channel, so that's quite a few views. And I'm going to show you something too. I had a customer call today and was asking me some questions. He's doing a Cato track layout, and he's got the whole concept, and he's pretty knowledgeable and stuff, but I was throwing out a few tips and things while we were talking about wiring, and I'm going to show you something that I know I put in other videos, but we're going to go over it one more time before I finish doing some scenery over here. So anyway, with all of that long intro being said, let's get started. Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look right here. And let me zoom in a little bit and we'll talk about the first building. Okay, gang, I know I've been working on other projects, as you have seen in the last couple of videos, you know those things I make, the videos. I decided to move, I think you guys saw in the last video, I decided to move the large triangular shaped building, which was the Atlas Middlesex building that I had modified, down to the city area. And I just thought it looked too big here for this area. So I built this. This is a Randy Brown kit, Arrowhead model. It used to be Arrowhead models. His kits are cast resin, and a lot of them are Southwestern. On this one here, I did a little modification to it. I don't know if you can see it in this picture. Hang on, let me see if I can move the camera just a little bit. Okay, there. Now we can see that on the front of it there, I added the Viga beams sticking out the front of it to give it a more Southwestern look. I also did my little stucco treatment to the outside. It has a porch light there, as you can see. It also has a light inside, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. And I cut, let me get over here so I can reach it. This end of the building right here was about twice that long, and I cut it down to fit that area. And as you can see, I raised it up to track level, and then I left the road and the parking lot at the existing level, put a set of steps up to the landing, then put a set of steps up in, or it had a set of steps up into the building itself. But this will be the liquor distributor. It's not a very big liquor distributor, but it's not a very big town and area. So it's probably more liquor than they can all drink. Now, that being said, let me go over here to what used to be the box company. Let me zoom in a little bit if I can. Whoops, the other zoom. By the way, the little yellow forklift that you see in the lower left-hand corner there came with that kit. It was a kind of a booger to assemble it because it's got a lot of little pieces, but it turned out very nicely, I thought. Anyways, the box company. It's, as you guys know, it's been shoved all over the layout. It was on the previous layout. As you may have seen in the previous pictures of this building, it had gotten wet during some scenery process, and it was badly warped. The dock part of it was badly warped. Well, I decided to obviously put lights inside of it and underneath the awning part of it. And lo and behold, I found out that I hadn't glued the building down into the dock, so I was able to just pull the building straight up out of the dock. Then I took the dock and super glued it, one end of it down, and then just bent it down where it should be, super glued the other end down and then just wet it a little bit so that hopefully it'll retain that shape forever now. So anyways, to get to the crux of it, I had to drill some holes in the floor of that building and run some wire up through the top part of it down onto the, it wasn't easy. I had broken some pieces off the top, got those all glued back on. Now let's talk about a little bit about, I suppose, what I've done around those buildings and what I plan to do around those buildings. Okay, now that we go to the shaky cam, you can see that I have the guardrail here, the automobile guardrail, and I did put some grass and stuff in here, put the curve sign back up. I had some comments on that laying in the middle of the road. I have not put anything on this cork that's on the edge right here. I'm probably going to put some plaster on that and then just try and make it look kind of like either poured cement or maybe, I don't know, rock face, whatever I can do with it to kind of spruce it up a little bit. It's not bad the way it is, but I think I can do better. Let's see, what else can I tell you about that building? Just about everything that's on that building came with that building. What I've also done is weathered the track and put in ballast along here. When I get in between the two buildings here, there were some, because I had glued this building down before, there were some legs broken off the bottom of this, and I haven't vacuumed off the excess here yet. But I left that vacant, no ground cover to the left there on purpose, because there's going to be a small drive that comes up from the road here up to this dock, and they could possibly access this dock here as well with a little ramp across. But anyway, there'll be a place for trucks to back up in there. So that is the game plan there, and that is why that is not scenic. You can see that I've got ballast and everything back down here. I did put some ground cover in between the two buildings. Not real spiffy yet, but I will probably put weeds and things in there over time. I did put ballast in front of the chemical plant. Not a real good job down here, but once again there will probably be some foliage or weeds up against the foundation of the building there. And I think I've talked about it before. In fact, I have a road crossing. It's a straight road crossing, but that's a 28-inch radius back there, so I think I could fit that road crossing in. It'll go from the road over this track right here and onto a parking lot that I will build out of plastic right here by the chemical plant. I have a lot of stuff that I haven't, excess ground cover that got on the buildings that I haven't vacuumed off yet. But that's pretty much how that little sliver in there is going to look. I did ballast up to the outside of this particular track. I have not ballasted this, and looking at that brings up one of the things that I had mentioned in the intro that I am going to talk about. But first we're going to take a look at these buildings with the lights off. Okay, here we go with the lights off, and I really like the way it looks with the lighting along there. It really does make it look like an industrial strip, which is what it was intended to look like. I'm going to turn the lights back on and kind of give you an aerial shot down it maybe. And here you can kind of see how it all fits in. It kind of enhances that little strip of property along there. I have not worked on the houses back there. I pretty much know they're going there. I just need to do the scenery back there. And maybe put some lights in those buildings. By the way, in the fronts of these buildings here across the street from the houses, there will be some street lights out here in between the buildings, and there will probably be street lights along where the houses are over there. Since I have street lights in town, it would probably be that there would be street lights coming out where those houses are. So that is a game plan, or the game plan there. And now let me get to what I was going to tell you about the Cato track tips. Okay, this shot here is really not very interesting, but as I was telling you earlier, I was reminded by a customer today of something that I do that makes it easier for doing, easier to remember what you're doing when you're doing wiring, okay? He was asking me, or I was telling him that he needs to make all the feeders the same colors on the left and right rail, or inside and outside rail, all around the layout. The way I do that, and there isn't an example of it here still showing because I barely have any foam still showing in here. But as you can see, when I was trying to document what pieces I used and transfer that back to my original plan and so forth, you can kind of see what I did here. And I've talked about it before, but for the people who didn't see the video that I did before on it, you can see that I marked out my pieces here and what links they were, so that if I took it apart during assembling the track back and laying it down here, I would know where the pieces went. I also traced around the edges of the pieces as well. The only thing we don't see here, well, we do see here, is a feeder, and I do not believe, I didn't put it there, but I suggested, and I have suggested in the past, by the way, this is lacquer paint when I tried to use a paint pen and it eats into the foam. But anyway, you can see that I have put, there's a feeder here. This is kind of handy as you go along until you get scenery up. You know, you don't know where they are, but it allows you to know where feeders are when you're putting pieces of track together, and you need to know where the last feeder was ahead of a turnout or what have you. As you can see, I have a feeder here which tells me I have power going into the single side of this number 6 switch here. And sometimes that's really handy to know when you're putting in your insulators and you're putting in more feeders. What I did not do here, which I suggested that he do, and I have done on the layout, when I connect the feeder, whether I'm using blue inside or white inside, it doesn't really matter, whichever way you start out, I would have put a B here and a W over here for blue and white, because of that's the color of the Kato feeders. And I did that at every feeder that I could remember as I laid the track around the layout, simply because, and I also documented that on paper, on the paper plan, so that somewhere down the road when I go to add something and I will go, damn, did I put the blue wire on the inside or the outside? Because from underneath, when you have 2-inch foam, the wire just goes through the foam and you can't see what it's attached to. So it's always good to write it down, whether you have the blue inside or blue outside, white outside or white inside, and just document it on your paperwork. So anyway, that's just a tip. Now we're just going to move on to something else. There goes Robin. She's going to pick up some boxes that we use for first-class boxes that we have a company here save for us. That is not our car, if you can believe that. There's a long story behind that. Our Lincoln is in the shop. It took 5 weeks to get it in the shop because they didn't have a loaner. Then they gave us this loaner here, and now it's 3 weeks and I haven't heard from anybody about my car. We complained to Lincoln. Lincoln complained to the dealer. When she brought the car in to get it worked on, she was treated like crap by the people in the service department because we had complained to Lincoln. And I told them that if I hear any more crap from them, and I was going to say the other word, but if I hear any more crap from them, I'm going to take that Lincoln down and I'm going to buy a Cadillac. So that's that story. Anyway, let's get back to the layout. Okay, I know we covered all of this stuff on the last video, but I'm pretty sure I had the windows and stuff painted on them buildings back there. However, the only thing I did swap out was that water tower back there. That water tower it's black instead of the silver, which I like better back there. I found it in a box down here under the layout. I like it better there. Once again, that looks a little more industrial and downtown city stuff. So it will go there. Nothing else has changed. I don't remember if I showed you this walkway over the track. I am going to put that there as a partial view block. It's not the total answer, but I kind of do like it there. In fact, I kind of like the way it turned out. That is about a 200-year-old Atlas kit. I believe it was Atlas or Aurora. May have been Aurora. Anyway, wow, the plastic was awful on that thing. You know, back in the 50s or whenever this kit was built, the plastics were horrible. But anyway, I did manage to get it together without ruining it. Let me see. I'm going to show you one more thing back here that probably doesn't mean anything to most of you. I just finished building this a la carte model, which is this white pickup truck here. Was a hot rod that was very popular back in the late 50s and early 60s, and you can see that on eBay I found a 1958 hot rod magazine featuring that very car, which I thought was pretty cool, and I've read about it, and there's some pretty interesting stuff in that old hot rod magazine, by the way. But you can see that I have my 3 old hot rods here that I have put together. Not much else going on in this department. Now I think what we'll do is show you what we got running on the layout for a little bit. Okay, I know it's been a long time since you've seen any of Gavin's equipment running out here, but he was over here the other day. In fact, it was Halloween night, and he broke out some of his equipment as we didn't have any Halloweensters, if you want to call them such. So he was out here running trains, so he got a lot of his not a lot, but some of his cars out, set up in here, and got a train going. So now we have a relatively long BNSF train running out here for the time being, so I'll let this guy pass by, and we'll go catch it in another spot. Okay, everybody. Hope you enjoyed video 84. Hope there was something in there you liked. And as usual, thanks for watching.